Hi, hello, welcome to my channel. Today in this session, we will see the menstrual cycle. So in the previous session already we have discussed the female reproductive system and as well as gametogenesis process, in the spermatogenesis process and oogenesis process. Now let's try to understand the menstrual cycle. So what is menstrual cycle? Generally, in the female's reproductive system, what happens at the time of puberty? Okay, at the puberty age, the first time endometrium layer starts shedding off. The shedding of the endometrium layer is called what? Menstruation. So this menstruation, this is the endometrium layer. This uterus region, inner side uterus region is lined by this layer. This layer is called endometrium layer. Already we have discussed about all this structure in the previous session. So this shedding of this endometrium layer is called menstruation. This menstruation repeatedly takes place in the female's reproductive tract every 28 to 30 days period of time. So this repeatedly taking place of the repeatedly shedding of this endometrium layer, okay, in the female's reproductive tract is called a menstrual cycle. Why? Because in a cyclic manner it takes place at every 28 or 30 days period of time. So that is why it is called menstrual cycle. In the menstrual cycle, we can observe the two changes. Okay, in two places we can observe the changes. One is in the ovary, this is the ovary, and another one is in the uterus region. Okay, so one is in the ovary and another one is the uterus region. So first time shedding of the endometrium layer is called menarche. First time shedding of endometrium layer is called what? Menarche. This takes place at the age of 12 or 13 years in the females and menarche, and this menstrual cycle will be ceased at the age of 50 or 55 in the females. So this is called menopause. What it is? Menopause. So we have to remember these two words. Between the menarche and menopause, continuously at every 28 days or 30 days of time period, menstruation takes place. This menstruation repeatedly takes place between the menarche and menopause. Okay, so right means 20 every 28 days it takes place repeatedly. So that is why it is called menstrual cycle. Okay, so now what are the changes takes place in the ovary? I said just now. So in two places we can observe the changes. One is in the ovary and another one is in the uterus. So what are the changes take place in the ovary and what are the changes take place in the uterus? Let's try to understand. First of all, let us try to understand the changes in the ovary. Okay, example, this is the ovary, this is the ovary. In the ovary what happens? First some primary follicles will be like this. Primary follicle cells are present, primary follicles are there. These primary follicles at the puberty age, when puberty comes, at that time what happens? These primary follicles, this is the primary follicle. Okay, these primary follicles generally matures like secondary follicles. Now secondary follicles they grow like tertiary follicles. This is the tertiary follicle. Then tertiary follicle grow like a Graafian follicle. So this is the Graafian follicle. This Graafian follicle ruptures and releases the egg cell. This process is called ovulation process. This is the primary follicle. This is the secondary follicle. This is the tertiary follicle, and this is the Graafian follicle. This is the Graafian follicle. This Graafian follicle completely matures and releases the egg cell. Ruptures and releases the egg cell. This process is called what? Ovulation. So this ovulation process takes place at the puberty age. First time ovulation process takes place, and if the ovum or egg cell is not fertilized, then this endometrium layer will be ruptured and shed off. This phenomena, the first time whatever the endometrium layer is shedding off from the uterus region, this phenomena is called what? Menarche. Okay. Right. So now, like this, in the ovary, what happens? Primary follicles are there. When puberty starts, then these follicles growing will be growth or the maturation of the follicles will be start. Okay. So here primary follicles they grow like secondary follicles. Secondary follicles will be grown like tertiary. Tertiary will be grown like Graafian follicles. Then Graafian in the Graafian follicles. this already primary oocyte is there, but this primary oocyte divides and gives secondary oocyte. This secondary oocyte will be released. This process, the releasing of the secondary oocyte from the Graafian follicle is called ovulation process. These changes we can observe in the female ovary at the time of puberty. Then what are the changes takes place? What are the changes take place in the uterus region? So now let's try to understand. Here endometrium layer is there. This endometrium layer is richly supplied with the blood capillaries. Now what happens if a fertilized egg comes here? It the fertilized egg means what? Zygote. Zygote will be implanted here. Means that the embryo will be implanted here. But if the ovum or egg cell is not fertilized, then what happens? This endometrium layer will be ruptured and this will be shed off. Okay, this will be removed. So this process takes place. Again, immediately what happens whenever this menstruation takes place, immediately again 1 to 5 days of time, what happens again? This endometrium layer will be grown in the uterus region. Okay, so again it waits for the zygote. If zygote comes, then zygote will be implanted here, otherwise it will be shed off. So this endometrium layer formation and shedding of the endometrium layer takes place from the puberty age. So before that these changes not takes place in the females. In the females, what happens? The ovulation takes place in the puberty. Okay, puberty, from the puberty age only the ovulation takes place, and as well as this rupturing of endometrium layer and shedding off of this endometrium layer takes place from the puberty age only. So this is about the menstrual cycle. This total cycle will be under control of hormones. Let us try to understand the hormonal control also. Okay.